The minutes were sent out last week. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, the minutes are approved as distributed. All right, so move on to reports. So my report is basically a little bit just on Zoom etiquette. Not that I don't want to hear from you guys on the chat and function and whatnot, but if something important comes up, it's really hard for me to look and decipher, where the important stuff is at. I do my best to look at the participants in order of their hands that go up. I'll follow the agenda and be able to look at the comments and filter out what needs to be said for everyone to hear. So if I may please ask of you guys to keep it minimal to important things, because like if we were in person, this side conversation wouldn't be happening as much. And this not only will it help just for like other meetings in general that you guys may have in your future, but it also will shorten meetings as I can go towards, and then we won't have to keep you guys for 2 hours. And yeah, that's about it. And like, if you can't find the hand function or anything, raise your hand. And like I said, I have everyone's faces, so I try to do my best. But Casey, granted, see, like that, if there was a lot of chatter, I definitely would have missed that. And I missed that just as it was written. But there we go. So thank you guys. That's about the end of my report. Are there any questions or comments? Very good. We'll move on to Student Body President, Elliot Meyer. Elliot, go ahead.
Hey, everyone. So I attended the alumni board this week and talked to them a little bit about what we were doing on SGA. I think I told you last week all, but just a reminder, yeah, that's a group of people who went to Simpson and they're very passionate about Simpson. So they ran for the alumni board, and it's basically just a group of alumni that talk and support projects. So they were also the people that supported or helped support us with the chairs. So it's really fun committee to go to. This last week, they discussed a multitude of different issues. Some of the issues doesn't really apply to us, but I did bring up and wrote a full report on what this entire last year has brought for SGA, or what SGA has done in this last year, discussing things like the work on diversity that we've done, as well as some projects that we funded, and then some smaller stuff like what FAC is doing, some current projects that we're interested in doing, and some more, and then SGA Constitution revision, which I believe one of the people that was in the alumni board was on the SGA when they last revised the Constitution. So that was kind of interesting. But other than that, it wasn't super, it didn't have a lot of stuff that really related to what we're doing right now. They did thank us again for the chair collaboration. And I told them that a lot of students are using those, obviously, even more so than we could have ever predicted. So that was really awesome. So thank them for that. And the meeting concluded in about an hour and a half. So it was fun. Okay, moving forward, project update. Rich might have some more information on this, but within this last week, we've been kind of in discussion between exec and then just between Rich and myself about some projects that we can continue doing, because currently the SGA rollover fund is a lot larger than what we typically have. It's sitting at about 170 right now. And typically we like to keep that at about 20,000. So we've got about 150,000 of extra funds that's not being used and basically sitting in a bank account. And we want to use that and get it out to students in any way we can, or get it out to projects that would help students in any way we can. Some of the larger projects that Rich and I discussed included tents that could be used both during the COVID pandemic that we have right now, as well as outside in the future. Basically, it is a tent that has walls around it, and it's pretty big. I think it would cover most of the outside. So if you know where like the plaza is out in front of Kent, obviously you should, because you walk by it every single day. But in that grass place, actually where we had the comedian and where the protest speaker was at, all of that, it would basically cover that entire area in a tent, which is awesome because right now that would mean that we could use that entire place when it starts to snow to do outdoor activities still and still be with like in the COVID guidelines for pandemic. So that would be awesome right now. But even in the future, it would be really useful, I'm sure, to a lot of different organizations. So that's something we're interested in. The cost for that, by Rich's estimations, I believe would be around 25,000, which still doesn't knock out a large portion of that rollover fund, but it is a good portion of it. So that's a potential project that we could do that I think would be a good use of student funds, because all student organizations could utilize that tent in the future. So that's another option that we could do, as well as floor coverings for Kohl's. So obviously we do homecoming, or I guess not obviously, because some of the first years don't know this, but we do our homecoming activities like Yell Like Hell and Dance Like Hell. No, Dance Like Hell, excuse me, it's not in there, but Yell Like Hell is. And thank you for nodding at me, Tatum, there. So basically, they kind of get mad at us for stomping all over their floors all the time. Athletics, I'm saying, or I should be saying specifically who I'm saying is they. And that kind of makes sense because those floors need to stay nice and they have to replace them every couple years. I don't know if it's because of Yell Like Hell, but anyways. I think it'd just be something that would be really useful, and it would be another thing that could potentially knock out some more of that money and get us down to a more reasonable number that doesn't look like we're hoarding a bunch of money. I don't remember exactly how much that was. I think like 15,000.
It depends, I think, on what type we get, but some are going to be somewhere between $15,000 and maybe $20,000, depending upon what type of flooring surface.
So I think it would be a good use of funds as well, again, because student organizations would directly use it. And also it probably should just be bought in anyways. I could kind of see the argument that the college should buy it. But then again, if we're feeling philanthropic, that could be a potential option for that to come out of. And then obviously our other projects that would include handicap bathroom or handicap doors around campus, and water bottle fillers. And then there was one more that I'm forgetting. So those would just be some ways that we could utilize those funds. And I guess we can open it up to discussion. I would really prefer to use the money we have to do something with it rather than just let it sit in an account. I know that some people might have reservations about spending money just wildly throughout campus, because at the end of the day, we don't want to do that as well. But I would like to use it and not just let it sit in an account forever. I don't think it does any use for it, and I don't think all the students pay that for it to just sit into an account. Another option that Rich and I talked about as a way to bring down that money amount a little bit is to not, or to make a deal with the college of some kind to not force the student activities fee to be paid for 1 year to let us catch up. That's another option that we could do, although I would hate for that to be done and then it just doesn't ever get refilled again, and then SGA runs out of money completely. I don't see that happening, but I don't know. I guess I'm not here when that's going to happen. So
not so much not do a student activities fee, but not do a mandatory increase that we have each year, because it automatically goes up every year tied to the tuition increase, and keep it stable and keep it flat for a year as opposed to letting it go up.
I believe it's currently sitting at like 350 or 360.
Somewhere around that area, yeah. I'd have to look to see exactly what it is.
Jorge, do you know for sure?
I think from last one, the 4% increase was like 394.
Mm-hmm. So
But
it's quite a bit of money. And especially if we're sitting at a really large sum that's currently rolled over from each year, it would be something to consider. So we can play around with that idea. And if anybody has any strong thoughts on that issue, please raise your hand, or at least ask the question at the end of my report, and we can discuss it a little bit and move it even down into general discussion if we'd like to. Okay, moving forward, Sustainability Committee. We talked about it last week. I have not sent out the email to invite those members to get together yet. So I just wanted to give you a brief update that nothing has changed from last week. Moving into this week, I've just gotten a little busy, so it has not happened yet. On top of that, we also discussed, I believe, we talked about CMT last week. I think something went wrong with the email that I sent out, because I don't think it got sent to anybody, because I didn't see any actual things be filled out in the CMT update. I don't know if anybody saw anything. It would have been sent out like last week, but I didn't see anything either. So I'm going to try sending that out again. It might have been the problem with the Wufoo. I just created one out of the account, so I might have not checked a box. So that has not gone out yet, I don't think. And then finally, executive committee report. So last week we discussed, I got reached out to by an individual from the Simpsonian, which we talked about last week. It brought upon a larger discussion with an exec about how we should personally deal with student organizations. The specific reach out that I received was that, and I'm obviously not going to name names because I think it should be confidential, but what I can share with you all is the individual felt as though we were talking ill about a student organization, which is not something that we should do. And I did not believe, well, I do understand that they did make several good points within their email, which I guess I should address before I go into what else I'm going to say, which is that when you talk about Smithsonian, for example, it is the entire editorial board, not an individual. That should be a common practice for all of us when we talk about any student organization as the organization as a whole and make it general instead of specifically talking about an individual. But wider than that, the person brought on the idea that we should not talk ill or talk negatively about any student organization, which I think I personally disagreed with. I think that student organizations, while I don't want to like discredit student organizations and I want to lift up all student organizations, that does not give them the free pass to just do whatever they want. In the past, specifically with the Simpsonian, I have seen in the past 3 years, SGA and Simpsonian butt heads and have a little bit of friction between the two organizations quite a bit. It's natural. I think it's even more natural because we don't fund them in any way. There's no active channel that goes through SGA to the Simpsonian. They're completely different entity, which is why partially they come up as a issue between our two organizations. Beyond that, they're also reporting on what we do every single week. There's an individual on the Simpsonian that reports on what we do every single week. So I can see where that comes up and where we butt heads a little bit. But I don't think that just giving them a free pass to do whatever they want is ever the right answer. I think that holding each other accountable is probably the main focus of both of our organizations, because as a news outlet, the media typically holds accountable real government, just like the student media should hold accountable the student government. So I think that that's a tentative, or it's a fragile relationship, but I think an important relationship. So that's my thoughts on the issue. We can have a wider discussion if we'd like, and I can explain things if I haven't explained them well, which is probably true. So that's my end of my report. If anybody has any questions.
So any questions or comments for Elliot? All right, so just to add on, so in the same manner that we receive criticism as well for being SGA, other organizations should be open to that. It's not that we're trying to, like he said, once again, tear each other apart, but we're trying to be as constructive as we can. And like I said, we have a comment box for anyone that has any concerns, send it to us, and we visit that at all times. Thus, we like to keep each other accountable. So, well, very well said, Elliot. All right, any other things? So move on to Senior Class President Casey Spring.
So the new budgets are in new business. And then the only other thing is if a budget amount is under $500, the FAC committee can vote and pass that budget without bringing it to a full SGA. So this past week, we voted and approved an additional $34.29 to the mock trial budget from last week because they had a new member, Piscazi Joy. And so we wanted to make sure everybody on the team got a hoodie. So that's what that additional increase was for. And then I think that's pretty much all I have. Everybody's coming really nicely along with their capital improvement projects. I'm really proud of all the work that we've been making. And then within the next couple of weeks, we'll probably start having individuals do updates as things get a little bit more firmed out with what members of the Simpson faculty need to be worked with to get these done. Yeah.
Very good. Any questions or comments with regards to Casey's report? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to Junior Class President Tatum Claiborne. So Tatum, go ahead.
Hello. So my report is relatively long. Lane, I didn't put all of this in because I didn't have the minutes. So I'll add it to my report after meeting. So apologies in advance. But an update on ACCDEI. So just for everyone, so they know. So the chairs for the committee is myself representing the student body. George Love is representing staff. And then Maeve Callan is representing faculty. And then in the meeting was Walter Lang, Lau. I cannot say her last name.
Sarah Eglin.
Okay, if you know who Lau, sorry, I'm not good at, I've never had this professor. Okay, perfect. Mimi and then President Kelleher. So essentially what was talked about, there is a position, Director and Chief Diversity Officer at the cabinet level for the college. And President Kelleher spoke with an independent contractor to talk about some of the job descriptions for what we're looking for. We're going to be meeting with her at the one of the upcoming meetings to kind of discuss how the interview should be ran and some things that we should be looking for the institution as a whole. And then, I don't know where my notebook is. Do you have my notebook? Sorry, I wrote down a thing that I was supposed to tell you guys, and it's on the other side of the room. So I'm just gonna skip over it really quick. Oh, wait, never mind. It's right here. So something that I was told to tell everyone to look at when you have the time is the strategic plan on diversity, equity, and inclusion. If you go onto your SC Connect, in the little middle part, there's a little underneath the registration part, there's a little part, and you can see the strategic plan and read over it. And if you guys have anything that you guys feel wrong with that, let me know so I can bring it up at the next meeting. But they are working out the web presence about our inclusivity, because if you go on the Simpson website and you look at the inclusivity statement, it's really bare and it's not really a good statement. So they're figuring out how to fix that. And then President Kelleher will be sending out a survey to see what speakers have been brought to campus, so that she can gauge what kind of speakers we need to bring to campus and see if we should invite any speakers back to talk more about diversity, equity, inclusion at both the staff and faculty level and the student level. And then just to kind of keep you guys updated on my position, kind of what everyone is doing. My position on the committee right now, I'm basically just hounding President Kelleher on the list of demands that the student body raised to her. So that's my position on the committee, is I just, at every single meeting, I'm like, where are we at with the demands? Let's keep it pushing. So that's what I'm doing on the committee. And then Maeve is meeting with the dean. We are talking to the dean about the lack of professors that teach in inclusive and intersectional classrooms, and how there's a lack of teaching on that aspect within every major. And then Professor Love is, George Love, sorry. I don't know why I said professor, my brain is. He is reaching out with Kathy Cole to schedule a meeting about the website. And we will be attending other meetings with all of these crazy people. And then I'm really sorry. This is so long. I've never talked this much at these meetings. I'm out of breath. Oh, yes. I'm meeting with Isaiah next Wednesday at 1 p.m. to finalize everything for the bias training. Woohoo. So exciting. If you guys have any recommendations for what you guys want me to talk to him about, let me know. But if you guys trust me enough that I will do a good job, I appreciate that as well. Just let me know. And then we're getting a bulletin board. I'm so excited. It's going by the mailroom. If you look at the gender neutral bathroom on the right-hand side, there's a pretty big chunk of wall. I didn't think it was that big, but it's actually a pretty nice chunk of wall. And Richard said that we could get a bulletin board. So we're getting a bulletin board. And the SOC committee, with Will's lead, because this was his great idea and he's done a board like this before at his high school, we are all going to be figuring out kind of how we want the board to look and all of that fun jazz. But I'm just really excited about a bulletin board. I started a Pinterest board already. I'm really excited. But that is my report. I'm sorry it was so long. I will never talk this much again. Okay, bye. Love you all. Bye.
So I see some questions. Elliot, I see your hand, so you're good. You don't have to keep it raised. So it's
Okay.
Casey, Pascazi, and then Elliot. So Casey, go ahead.
So I don't see the it looks like Pascazi already has an answer to my question. Let her go.
Go ahead, Pascazi.
So when she said that, I immediately went looking for it as well. And so you have to go to like under my involvement. I'm literally saying it, chill. It's under my involvement, and you have to go to the all campus committee on diversity, equity, inclusion. Like you have to click on that, and then it has the minutes, and then it has like a PDF file of the strategic plan. That was not my thing. I have a separate thing. So if Casey's done, can I say my thing now?
I don't think she is, but go ahead, Casey. I saw your hand.
Oh, yeah. I don't have an all campus committee on diversity, equity, and inclusion to click on. I don't know if other people don't. So somebody else should check while Pascazi finishes what she had to say.
I can download the PDF and I can put it in the GroupMe, just so that everyone has access to it and you guys won't have to go searching on your SC Connect.
That'd be perfect.
Or do you want me to upload it to Teams? Is there like a preference? I can just do both if that's okay with everyone. You could just like nod your head. I can see
Since
everyone.
it's probably stored in there. I'd recommend putting it in Teams.
Okay, I couldn't hear you at the beginning. Okay, I'll put it on Teams. Good job.
Very good. So Pascazi, go ahead then.
I'd like to make a point that the chair that they're creating that's going to be on the council, like the full-time cabinet level chief diversity and inclusion officer, is not the position that all of the committees have been asking for like the past 3 years. And I know this point has already been raised, but I would like everyone to know that this is different from the position that like everyone has been asking for, in the way that it is not a VP, so they're not on the board. And we brought this issue up to President Kelleher at the very first ACC DEI meeting, and she pretty much just said no. But I would like it pointed out that this is not the position that has been asked for the past 3 years, and that they've specifically asked for a VP of diversity and inclusion, not a cabinet member that reports to Kelleher. So I just wanted everyone to know that, because I'm upset about it. But
And then our people are listening as well, because then they will know as well. Elliot, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I believe Maggie wanted us to go slower. So I might have been talking too fast too. So that might have been my bad too.
I talk really fast, Maggie. I'm so sorry. So very sorry. Oh, but I did want to point out, I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, when I send you guys the strategic plan on diversity, equity, inclusion, if you guys scroll down, there's a bolded list of goals that were made in 2018, and none of them have been achieved yet, which is kind of disappointing. So I just want to let everyone know that I did make that point raised during the meeting. So all of the things that we say here about stuff that like we're very concerned and upset about, you better believe I am talking to all of them and letting them know that we are upset. So if you want me to tell them that we're upset about more things, just let me know. Our next meeting is on the 11th of November. So everyone can put that on their calendar. And these meetings are open. They're not by invite only. It's not a closed meeting. So if you guys ever want to attend the meeting, let me know so I can send you guys a Zoom link. But yes.
All right. Very good. Thank you. All right. So move on. Are there any other questions or comments from you guys? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to sophomore class president, Chase Henry. Chase, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. So this week we started the rebranding competition. Thank you for everyone who put that on their social media. If you want to, maybe tomorrow or Friday, do it again. It's in the GroupMe chat. So prelims end this Friday, and then I'm probably just gonna send it maybe Sunday, like the submissions and group me, so we can get it down to 4. So I can message them, and then we can get it done by that following Friday. And then I was thinking about the timeline. We are coming down to the end of the semester. I'm not 100% sure if we can get all the apparel here by the end of the semester. So those of you leaving, or those of you who aren't going to be with us next semester, I still plan on, I think everyone deserves SGA apparel who's not going to be in it next semester or something like that. So in the budget request, I'll still plan on those people getting their things. And then I have a meeting with my committee this Friday, and we're going to, again, talk about the designs, how we're going to vote, because a couple people have submitted. I'd say about every person has submitted 2 or 3 designs. I'm guessing that's just a common thing with design majors and stuff like that. So I'll try and figure out how we're going to vote. I don't know if the best option is just to like not include the person's name, but include all their designs in like one slide, maybe. I think that'd probably be the best option. And then we will talk about hygiene dispensers in my meeting on Friday. And then also tabling, which we will talk about Friday and report.
Are there any questions or comments? So I see Elliot's hand. Go ahead.
How many have you had sign up or submit designs?
I think right now we're at 4, and it's like 12 designs, so they're pretty cool. One person actually submitted like 8 different designs, but they're all in one little page. It's really nice and organized.
All right. Very good. Paskazi, go ahead.
Did you say that SGA is voting on the designs and you're sending them in the group me? My brain's not working, so I didn't comprehend.
Yep, I'll send them probably Sunday evening. I think that's the best time, and then hopefully everyone votes. And then I'll email those 4 people, and then we'll continue with the after prelims.
Very good. So Maggie, go ahead.
This is just me double checking. Since SGA is the one voting, none of us should be like submitting designs, correct?
I mean, I think you could just abstain from the vote, I think. Isn't that how that would work, Elliot?
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even care personally that if SGA people want to do it, submit it. And honestly, you could even vote for yourself. I don't care. But I think the more that we have, the better. So one person submitting designs, and I guess if you all do it and vote for yourself, then we're just going to get a tie. But yeah, so I say do it. If you want to do it and you have the capability to do it, I say definitely do it. But I guess that's also up to Chase because he's running it.
Go for it.
All right. Are there any questions or comments? Any more for Chase? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to first year class president, Will Keck. Will.
Hello. So Tatum pretty much said a lot about what our committee is up to, but the only thing I was going to say was that we're planning on doing like another campus presidents meeting of all like the executive members of the campus organizations, and we're going to focus on like campus activities and their budget requests to try and get them to submit more budget requests and put on more activities and just events for the student body. So that'll be coming up in probably earlier November. But other than that, yeah, we have the billboard going up by the mail room, which is super exciting. And we'll have like a little club wall there with all the clubs and like stuff about all of them. So that's super exciting. And I believe that's it.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments with regards to Will's report? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to other reports. Are there any other reports? There are no other reports. Oh, no. Elliot, go ahead.
Does anybody have a faculty committee that has already met? And if you do, if you would like to talk about it, you're welcome to. I think I said that at the beginning of the year. That's where these would go if you would like to talk about that.
So Paskazi, go ahead.
I can talk about EPCC. No one might care, but I find the committee really interesting. But it is curriculum stuff, so kind of boring. But we actually talked about something relatively cool this week. There is a proposal going in for right now. It's just being proposed and submitted for non-traditional students. So like students who have left, and I think we decided the term was going to be like, you left Simpson for 5 years and you came back to like finish a degree or like pursue a graduate degree. They're instituting a policy where you can fill out like a form and get 16 credits or 1 full semester waived off of your GPA. So for instance, like if someone came back 5 years later and they had like a really bad semester at Simpson 10 years ago or 5 years ago, and they're pursuing a degree now, that old GPA might affect what they're able to do now. So they're going to waive that whole semester. So you'll still have, like, it'll still be on your transcript. It just won't transfer to your like GPA, your cumulative GPA. And then we talked about this specifically for graduate students and non-traditional students, but then we also started talking about the idea of doing this for traditional students too and undergraduate students, where if like there were a few different schools who do something like if you had COVID like related issues and like this semester was just really hard on you, like you would be able, as long as you had like I think 2 years left. So if you were a sophomore now and like this semester was really hard for you or next semester was really hard for you, you'd be able to waive the GPA of that semester so it wouldn't affect you in the future. And then we also started talking about this for like the first year program. So like students who like transition into college and have a really hard time their first semester, but then later in their like college experience, they show that like that semester was just like a fluke and they were able to like get their stuff together and do really well later in their college years. They'd be able to waive the GPA for that semester, specifically for like students who are like looking to go to grad school. So I thought that that could be a really cool opportunity for students, especially like students who just have a really hard time transitioning to college in the first place. And then we talked a little bit more about the changes to the first year experience, adding Foundations 1 and Foundations 2. If you aren't aware, it's a really big whole curriculum change project that's happening. It won't affect any of us. It'll only affect students coming in next year. So like the 2021, 2022 school year, we're completely changing the first year experience to include more civic engagement and diversity and power. And so we talked about that a little bit more. There's a lot of nuances to that. So if you don't know, now is not the time for me to explain all of it. But if you would like more explanation, there are documents I can send. But it is a very long curriculum change with a lot of things going into it and a lot of issues that they're trying to solve. That's that.
Very good. Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 5. Old business. There's no old business. So we'll move on to item number 6. New business. Senior class senator swearing. So everyone, welcome Enrique Aiden. Sorry, Enrique, if I butchered your last name, but he is our new senior class senator. So congratulations. Everyone's clapping, imagine the sound, my guy. And so we're going to swear you in right now.
Awesome. Cool.
All right. So you can repeat after me with your right hand up as you are able to.
Okay.
So I do solemnly affirm
I do solemnly affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I'll faithfully execute
the office for which I was elected
the office for which I was elected
and will to the best of my ability
and to the best of my ability
preserve and uphold
preserve and uphold
the Constitution of the Simpson College SGA,
the Constitution of the Simpson College SGA,
and represent the students of my constituency.
and represent the students of my constituency.
That's it.
Whew,
Congratulations.
that last one was hard. That was a little tongue twister there.
It is a little. Now we have commas, so
Right on.
give 'em a
Awesome.
bunch. Yeah,
Yes,
Oh.
thank you. Yes.
welcome. Alrighty, so now we'll move on to budget requests. Active Minds. Casey, go ahead.
I move to allocate, sorry, I have to go to the teams and find the exact amount, $6,217 to Active Minds.
Second.
All right, very good. So it's been motioned and seconded to allocate $6,217 to Active Minds. Is there any discussion? Casey, go ahead.
So the decrease in the budget was originally when they came to present today, they gave us a really vague budget that had a bunch of items like lumped together, and it was kind of hard to tell where the money was really going. So we asked them to resubmit a more detailed budget for us to look at before we approved the numbers. And when they went through that more detailed, they just discovered that there was extra money in there for no real reason, it seemed like in the email they sent me. So this is everything. We didn't actually deduct that. This is the new total they're asking for when we asked for a budget that had each item actually detailed out by how much it was going to cost. Oh, and the budget is for a like roommate bonding box. It actually was a really cool idea. So you can like make throw pillows for you and your roommate. It has self-care activities like card games, just little things to do since we can't all really like be together in big spaces, but you still like have your family unit to like do something fun with.
Very good. Thank you. Are there any more discussion? All right. Seeing none, it's been motioned and seconded to allocate $6,217 to Active Minds. So all those in favor, please press the check mark. All those opposed, the little X, and go faster for abstentions. Nice. Motion carries. So now we'll move on to general discussion. So item number A, Indianola Community Scavenger Hunt. Elliot, go ahead.
So I was reached out to earlier this week by a Indianola community member. I attached the email they sent to me. So if you're looking at the agenda, that's what they sent to me. If you're not, I can just read it quick because it's a really short paragraph. So they said, REACH, Real Entrepreneurs Are Creating History. So that's their acronym, kind of catchy. Is attempting to create a scavenger hunt throughout the Indianola community and has been given by the Chamber of Commerce $200 to spend over 2 different scavenger hunts. We are tentatively thinking one on the square and one throughout the whole town. I was wondering if this was something that SGA would like to contribute to as well. That's basically what they sent to me. So I thought it was pretty cool. But on the alternative, if we commit money to it, it would be a direct breach of the finance code because it would be money that would not be given back to students. So students paid into it. Students would potentially not win that money if they don't find it, which would be kind of disappointing because, I thought, our work with the medallion hunt should give us a little edge on the rest of community members. But that's where I'm kind of at. I don't know if it's really appropriate for us to commit money to. I think it's a cool idea, but that's where I'm at. So I'm looking for some discussion. And I also don't know how much money we would commit. They weren't asking for a money amount as well.
All right. So, and then just to remind you guys, I'd like to keep this discussion to approximately 20 minutes, just once again, with regards to everybody's time. So if someone has said it and you agree with it, you guys can give me the thumbs up like thing. That way we don't talk in circles amongst ourselves and like reiterate. So Casey, go ahead. And then Tatum. So Casey.
I just want to clarify, are we sure that they want like money? And it just says like contribute. Are we just assuming that it's money they want, or did they want like help doing the scavenger hunt? I also think the scavenger hunt's like a cool idea, but we would have to like suspend the rules and break the finance code. But we've done it before for things, so this would be an open discussion of if we think that's something worth doing for the Simpson campus.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Can I answer that one, Jorge?
Yeah, go ahead.
Gotcha. I don't know. I think they said contribute, and that's all the email said. So I don't know if we would contribute, like I don't know, manpower or human power. I don't know but like hiding that somewhere around campus, or not campus, the community. I don't know if we would really be helpful in that, because I think most of us stay pretty much on campus. I've been here for 4 years, and I don't even know what's on the other side of that town. So yeah, I don't know.
That's fair. Tatum, go ahead.
So like I agree with Casey when we ask like what exactly they want, because if they just want some like young people to like play stuff outside because they're like old and brittle, because Indianola is statistically an older populated community. Okay, I'm going off of numbers here. I'm not lying. It's very true. Go outside. It's only old people here. I'm sorry. Anyways, love the elders, whatever. Okay, next thing. Anyways, what are these prizes? Because, while Indianola is a great place, I'm not going to go out into the cold to get like a candy bar in the middle of bum nowhere racist Indianola. That's unsafe for me. A little scary. So like if you could like email them and be like, can you get a little more specific? Because it's like if they just want some young people to run around the winter and like play some stuff outside, I'll do it. That sounds like a great time. But like it's Indianola's a frightening place.
Elliot, I reckon you have a direct response, so go ahead.
I reckon. I was assuming that they were giving out the cash prize, but maybe they're spending the $200 on. I mean, that's what I assume, but maybe I'm coming from like a standpoint of like Medallion is kind of like a scavenger hunt, and we just give out money for it. Maybe they are just giving out candy bars. That's like $200 plus whatever we would contribute worth of candy bars around Indianola. So I don't know. I assumed it would be cash. Rich also got the email, but I think he got the same one I did. So
I got the exact same email.
Yeah, I assumed. I can reach out to them about that. He emailed me again today asking for a follow-up. So
very good. Pascasi, go ahead.
I think if we are going to contribute in any fashion, we would have to know that it's something that students would do. Because like I wouldn't see a problem with like suspending the rules and allowing us to contribute if we know that Simpson students are gonna like actually participate. And I think the prize is crucial to that, because going off of what Tatum said, if it's $200, I will risk my safety to go out there and find whatever the hell it is I'm supposed to find to get $200. But like if it's gonna be, I don't know, like $50, that's not worth it. Actually, that might still be worth it. If it's like something stupid like a trophy, no, I don't need that. And like I wouldn't participate, and I doubt other Simpson students would participate.
Very good. Thank you. Will, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of agree with them. And I think you just need to reach out to them again and just get some more information, especially like if the $200, like if it's only going to like is there one winner, or is there like multiple winners, or like everyone wins if you get to the end? Just some like more clarification on that. And then as well as like when the scavenger hunt's going to be, because if they're not going to do it until like December when we're all here, then I don't really think we should contribute a ton of money, but that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Is it Elliot? Is this a reply? So I have Chase and then Elliot. Is that so? Chase, go ahead.
Let's also remember it's like the winter and COVID's still very real. So if they put it somewhere inside, I don't think that'd be a great thing to put money towards. As like Simpson's been saying, all our scavenger hunts are outdoors. And then if it's also outdoors and there's a snowstorm or an ice storm, You're going to have kids driving in cars. There's just a lot of risk.
Very good. So Elliot, go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I can reach out to them asking like, what's it going to look like? I think something that I believe Piscazzi said that I wanted to follow up on was the whole question of ensuring that Simpson students still participate. Well, that's kind of like we have that challenge with SGA, and every other organization has that challenge, is ensuring that Simpson students participate. So I think for this one, if we do choose to invest money or support it in any way that isn't monetary, that we would just have to also advertise it. So that would be just taking that upon ourselves to do that. Campus Connections could take it upon themselves, or just the wider SGA could. So that's what I think that on that issue.
Very good. Hadley, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out, like with the medallion hunt, like the lowest prize was $75, and people were like willing to fight each other, like physically beat each other up to get that medallion. So I don't think it'd be like insanely hard, depending on like how spread out this would be. Because like if they were like, yeah, the prize is $100, I'd take my car and I would drive around Indianola trying to find whatever it is we were doing.
Very good. Are there any other comments? I mean, I'm guessing basically we're just gonna reach out to see what's up. And then if I may add, I understand that maybe it's not as much as a good interest of the students, but if there is interest, maybe this could build a stronger relationship between us and the community. If we feel unsafe, maybe a $200 investment and breaking the rules would be a step towards being more involved within the community and not being Simpson and Indianola, but more altogether. And like I said, if it's not that much, I mean, you've noticed we've got a lot of money. But Elliot, go ahead.
I will say it is somewhat ironic that beginning of this year, we removed Indianola from our constitution, and then followed up the end of this year by supporting an Indianola organization. So that would be funny on my end. But I will say another part was a question. It seems though from this email that it is 2 different scavenger hunts. So I assume that there's going to be at least 2 different, like it's not just going to be $200. At least with the money they have right now, it's going to be $100 invested to do to 2 different scavenger hunts. Sorry, I can't speak tonight. So I'll reach out, see what they say. If you guys are interested, maybe can I do a straw poll quick just to see interest in investing? Just preliminary right now. Yes, no, pretty simple. Enrique, we've been doing basically straw polls. So if you go into your participants tab, you just click yes or no. So that's just. So this doesn't really mean anything, but if you're interested, you think it's a cool idea. Is the go faster abstain? I'm not sure if anybody.
Yeah, I'm really indifferent to this.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, I don't need to hit a threshold. I was just wondering.
Can I add one more thing that I kind of put it in the chat? Just want to make sure that the city is assuming, or whoever is putting this on is assuming all risk, even if we contribute money to it at the end of the day, that there's absolutely zero responsibility should there be an accident, somebody gets hurt, somebody hits a car, whatever, that Simpson and SGA is not in any way, shape responsible for anything associated with it. That's the one thing we need to really be aware of, that especially since cars are involved, that we cannot take any risk, and we're not going to. They need to indemnify us to ensure that we're not held negligent for anything associated with us.
Very good. Thank you. Yeah, because we don't want any lawsuits. So yeah. So anything else from you guys? Very good. We'll move on to Urban Dreams wrap-up discussion. Elliot, go ahead.
So last week we were going to have this discussion. We pushed it back because some people hadn't seen the recording yet. Did those individuals actually look at the recording, end up watching the live stream? I guess, Enrique, you were not part of it when we started. Urban Dreams came 3 weeks ago now, and did a bias training with us, and just kind of talked about actually a lot of subjects. It wasn't really just a Simpson specific, but just like the Des Moines area, what it's kind of like, so
That's good. That's really good.
it was really cool actually. And then I can't recall Isaiah Knox, I believe that is. Yeah, Knox. One of the trustee members. He came down and talked to us a lot, and it was really cool. So seeing a lot of nods, I think we can begin the discussion. Like I said last week, Isaiah asked me after it was done if we could give him some feedback on what we liked and what we didn't like. You don't have to be 100% positive with this, because I think it would be unrealistic to say 100% positivity. There were some things that I was questioning, saying, interesting, that's not something that I've heard from my experience with the subject. So I just was interested by that. So we can begin that discussion. This is kind of just your thoughts and what you would like to share. So Corey, I see your hand first. Do you want to run this discussion, Jorge?
You're good. That's fine. So Corey, go ahead.
Okay. It can be just like a discussion. So raise your hand and I'll call on you. You can continue. Go ahead.
Okay. Can y'all hear me? Okay. Okay, perfect. So my thought process, could just be me like being a little naive. My ideology behind like bias training was to like educate us a little bit more on like our implicit biases, acknowledge our privilege, and then teach us how to be anti-racist. And I didn't really get that from them. I got a lot of personal, like cool stories and like what their program and organization does and how they help all those different types of people that come in, which was super cool. But like, besides the neat facts about history and like Indianola being a sundown town before, like I didn't really learn anything that I didn't know before necessarily about like bias training, if that makes sense.
Very good. Chase and then Pascazzi.
Just to piggyback off of what Corey said, I just thought the title was kind of wrong for it. I mean, I thought it was good, but I don't think the like mandatory bias training really, like Corey said, I kind of thought it was going to be like a more PowerPoint-ish and then discussion wise, but I did like the program. I just think maybe changing the title, tweaking it a little bit would be better.
Very good. Pascazzi, go ahead.
Okay, while I understand where everyone is coming from, I think a very important thing to point out is that before you can understand where your biases come from and why you have them, you have to first understand historical and local knowledge, which I learned a lot of stuff like locally about Iowa and Des Moines, which is where primarily like the people on this campus in SGA are from. So like you have to understand that knowledge before you can get into understanding like implicit biases and microaggressions, because a lot of those issues are a lot deeper than you think. So I agree with that notion that like mandatory bias training is normally thought of like going over implicit bias, microaggressions, and what you can do to actively be anti-racist. But I also think that this is like what their program was like a first step for you to get the knowledge that you needed to know to be able to actively do the things you guys are talking about. Because if you just give information on like these microaggressions are bad, A, B, C, don't do them, you don't learn much. You have to understand like the historical context behind them for you to understand why those things are wrong. So like I highly appreciated their historical and local context that they brought to SGA to understand like discrimination and prejudice as a whole. So then all of us could then take that knowledge and take it a step further and do learning on your own, or like ask them to come back and then build on what they did in the first session to make us fully understand like implicit biases and microaggressions. But I do believe that what they did is like a basic first step in understanding where those biases come from.
Very good. Elliot, go ahead.
And that would kind of go along with what their mission, I think, is to do that STEP program where you like educate, so that, I mean, that does kind of go it's consistent with what their actual organization does. But I will say that I do agree with you, Chase, and I don't remember who the first person brought. Oh, I believe Corey. Yes, that I did not expect that type of program to come out of that, especially when we were going in with the traditional idea in mind of bias training. Also, my perception of bias training might be skewed because of what I've heard from Simpson so far on bias training, which includes what Heidi and some other campus organizers do, like with the we do it every year for sports. I can't recall what it is off the top of my head. If anybody remembers, it's what. Yeah, Chase might know. Do you know what it's called, Chase?
It's just MVP training.
There we go. Yeah, MVP. That's my concept of bias training. So that's what I was kind of expecting going in, to do a lot of discussion based. And I think that they still did a lot of good discussion. So that was awesome. But it just went more historical than I expected. I personally am not complaining about that because I really like the history part of it. But that's also what my life is centered around here at Simpson. So.
Very good. Chase, go ahead.
All right, this might be a question more for Tatum. So are you wanting the same program to like be available or mandatory possibly for like the staff and stuff? Is this the same program?
No. So like, for example, with the stuff that AAC DEI is looking at, they're bringing in someone who's worked in the corporate world because the group of faculty and staff members on the committee believe that the way the administration runs Simpson is more like a business rather than like an educational institution sometimes. So they feel like Cynthia can bring a different like aspect to it. But in regards to the bias training that like SOC will be conducting with the leaders on campus, I will be meeting with Isaiah next Wednesday to talk about specifically what I want students to hear. And in that one, I'm focusing on like understanding implicit bias and microaggression specifically, because I feel like those are the two biggest things that people like in leadership positions on campus, like reaching out to students, like those are the two most important things. But then I am wanting them to talk more about the historical context as well, because I think it is important, especially to know the backgrounds of students who are coming to campus so that groups know how to properly engage these students, because there is a cultural aspect to getting people to engage in certain things. Like as a person of color, when I see something that has to do with like Africa or another culture, I'm like immediately like, oh, you know, like that's a personal tie. I'm going to want to pay more attention to it. So I'm going to be having Urban Dreams focus more on that in the training that SOC will be conducting with the student leaders specifically, if that's what you were asking.
Jorge.
Yeah.
Would you mind if I went out of line? I know Casey had her hand up before me.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask Rich. Rich, you were the one that met with Isaiah and Urban Dreams, maybe just in general. What did, I guess, was our style of program different than what they typically do? And maybe you just asked for something specifically and that's what they received on. So I would hate to criticize them when we specifically asked them to do that.
I mean, I told them that we wanted to talk about bias and implicit bias on campus, as well as addressing some of the things that, that were cultural. I think that there were some other things that we wanted to talk about too, cultural to Simpson, that we wanted to address. I also wanted to make sure that they kind of hit on understanding the differences and appreciating the differences in everybody around the table, because I think that that's the other piece that was important for us to talk about, is understanding everybody's differences, whether it's political, religious, or whatever, but appreciating those differences and looking at them in a different way. So that's the other piece I wanted to bring up.
Thank you. So Casey, go ahead.
So I agree with like what a lot of what's being said. I think Pascazi brought up a good point that you really do need the history and context to like understand why like certain structures and things are the way they are today and why certain like common microaggressions exist. However, I feel like the presentation either needed like one more thing at the end to really connect it to that, or like maybe to be just like longer, like we did it on like a Saturday. Because I just personally feel like if everybody has biases, but if I was someone walking in who like grew up in a town with like no people of color and I wasn't aware of my like biases that I have, I don't know that I would be less discriminatory in my day-to-day life from that, but that could just be like ignorance on my part. But that's just kind of how I felt coming out of it. I did learn a lot. I think the history is super interesting. It helps put into context a lot of what goes on today. But I just felt like I wanted like maybe just one more slide or something to really connect it back to how we can use that information like directly to be more anti-racist.
Can I say one more thing to Jorge?
Yeah, definitely.
I guess the only thing other thing that I would say is I think that I think in a lot of cases with all these programs, we're going into them with this assumption that it's going to be a one and done, and it's going to solve everything after one particular meeting, and it's not. And I think that we need to make sure that this is an ongoing series and it's an ongoing conversation. And I think that probably Urban Dreams is a good primer, and we just need to continue on and do it more often and have more opportunities to educate further down the road. So I mean, we can't look at this as this is the one event that's going to cover everything and we're going to be done and we're going to be healed and life is going to go on. So just want to make sure that we got that.
Very good. Thank you. So Katie will be the last comments. So go ahead.
Can you guys hear me now? Okay. So as a first year here, like in the Des Moines area too, I think it would have been kind of cool to have some more statistics about the national area. Like it was really good to have statistics about this area because then I got more in depth with this area too. But they asked a lot about the page where like it was like positive headlines and negative headlines. And the only thing I could think about when they showed that page was like Iowa. So I'm a Nebraskan. And so one of the things was like, yeah. So one of the things was like, Iowa's the best place for young adults or something like that. And I was like, ha ha ha, no. So I was just like, that's all I thought during that slide. And I kind of wish there was like more national statistics at the same time. So I could have connected with it a little more, but then had the Des Moines too, so that I could like get into it, if that makes sense. Thank you.
Makes sense. Thank you. All right. So as Paskazi said, she's got more speakers in her back pocket. So we'll like Rich said, it's ongoing. So very good. Thank you guys. Or Elliot, I guess you can be the last one.
Jackpot. I will say that to follow up, I said this very briefly last meeting before we decided to just postpone this to this week. I think that I was surprised on a couple occasions when they said things that seemed a little more old-fashioned and didn't seem consistent with the ideas that I've heard, even from individuals in this room right now. Just like wanting to like passively do things instead of actively. So I wanted, one of the reasons I really wanted to talk about this was just some perceptions on that, because I was intrigued by that when I heard it.
I'm going to let it slide this time, guys. So Tatum and Paskazi, like I said, trying to keep to an agenda, but go ahead, guys. So go ahead, Tatum, first.
I mean, I pointed it out during the training because I noticed very quickly that there was a very big generational divide between the presentation and kind of what we believe. And I was honestly kind of off-put with their reaction to my question. They immediately got very defensive, and I was like, whoa, hey now, no, we invited you here. You're here to talk to us. So, and if you're talking to us about things that we should be knowing, you should probably look at the group that you're like addressing the presentation to. Because I'm not like categorizing the entire generation as being more like, rather than, but it was a very contradicting message compared to what the students had expressed earlier in the year during the protest. So at least like for me personally, I was a little frustrated by it, and I was a little upset with the lack of attention that my question got by them. It was more of them trying to defend that they did have young people in the room rather than trying to skew the conversation to like fit our group specifically. Which is another thing I'll be pointing out in my meeting with Isaiah, that I would like a younger representative at my training, because I think there is a big generational divide, and I am not one of those people that is a passive person in the sense of elders. I mean, I'll respect you, but I expect respect in return. So that's kind of who I am. But I do agree with what Elliot said. It was shocking a little bit, and it was a little frustrating, in my opinion.
Very good. Skazi, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Tatum. I think a lot of like, especially like hearing a lot of their own personal stories where they grew up in times of like very harsh like segregation, and like they were the few years right after segregation. I understand that like there is a time period piece, and there also is like a generational divide. And I think that just as young people, we all meet that generational divide quite often. Like, I don't know if this is something they said, but this always just pops into my head when people are like, oh, you'll understand when you get older. Like, there's always just a generational divide, like with any conversation that happens with like an older generation and a younger generation. So I think that like, while they did this, I think anyone giving this training to students would also probably enrage us the same amount, because they're just, I think there will always be that generational divide between what we believe is like what we should do and what they believe we should do, just because there's generational differences.
Very good. Casey, go ahead.
So I kind of have, I guess, two separate thoughts. One, I totally agree there was a generational gap. The lady who came and spoke is the same age as my mom, and my mom grew up like in Maryland and was part of like the busing for desegregation for schools. So like they're just from like a very different time and grew up experiencing different problems. And I think especially like on a college campus, we're experiencing new types of problems with like race issues. And so we should be focusing on those, because like while we have to honor the history and acknowledge it was bad what happened, that doesn't help us fix the problems now. I also think that maybe we should, like, in addition to this training, have somebody come talk a little bit more about intersectionality, because I don't know if other people noticed, but there were some like the vibes I was getting was like anti-LGBTQ plus rights from some members of the group. And I just feel like we shouldn't have like discussions about bias training that solely don't focus on like other groups, if that makes sense. Like, I think what they did was good. They came and they talked about a lot of important stuff, but maybe we should also have a speaker talk specifically about like the intersection of these issues, because historically, like, people of color who are members of the LGBTQ plus community are like ignored in social movements or like not talked about. And I think we shouldn't continue that. Awesome. Paskazi's got someone. Like, I just think we need like another speaker to come and just really talk about that issue, so we don't become part of the narrative that ignores certain groups of people in a movement.
Very good. Hadley, go ahead.
So I just want to bring up something that Chase said in the chat, because I think it's a great idea. And we had literally just talked about this in my student development class on Monday. So he talked about having the interns that they have coming in to talk with us. And like, you're statistically more likely to listen and accept someone that is closer to your age than someone that is further away from your age. Just like developmentally in psychology. I don't know the word. But there's like that. And then also I wanted to agree with what Casey said. Like, honestly, as soon as I started picking up on those vibes from like what they were saying, I was like, this is getting to a place that I don't like. And I think it's important to have that conversation while also addressing like every different kind of group, because it's not just like, there's not just bias in like race. There's bias in sexuality. There's bias in gender. There's bias in a whole bunch of different things. So I think it's important that we focus on a whole bunch of different things, and just, that's it.
Very good. So we'll reach out, and like Tatum will reach out as well. And then for one quick second. For further notice, this was very important, but when I say it's the last one, it will be the last one, but this is more important to this. So just, like I said, trying to be more self-conscious of other people's times, but this is important. Thus, we continued. No need to apologize in the chat. We're all good. Just moving forward. So move on to item number 8. announcements. So Simpson political poll is coming out soon. Please fill out so we can get some accurate numbers of what students' political beliefs are. So I believe that will be sent out through email. Is there anyone who's got more information? Tatum, go ahead.
Mine
was
was a
mine.
separate announcement.
Yep, that was mine. I'm doing a class right now. It's a political research, and every election year, that class does a poll of the entire campus. So last time it was done was 2016. We're doing it again. Really, we're just trying to look at demographics around campus. So what political beliefs are the most prevalent by students at the time, to get some accurate numbers of just like what's going on. So it's really cool. I encourage you all to fill it out. So yes.
Very good. So Tatum, go ahead with your separate announcement.
Yes. So Saturday is a great day to vote. If you haven't already, if you are registered in Warren County at your Simpson address, you literally go to the administrative building, which is right behind Carver. It's within walking distance. If anyone wants a ride, let me know. I will gladly drive you. And if you live in Des Moines and you're voting in Des Moines, on election day, all transportation is free. So it's in Des Moines. So that's another important thing. Uber, Lyft, and all of the buses are free to go. And in the state of Iowa, if you are working by law, they have to give you a 2-hour break to go and vote. So don't let your boss try to tell you that you can't vote. That's against the law. Turn them in. And then on Friday, spooky time, CAB is doing a trick-or-treating thingy and a murder mystery event online for the campus-wide trick-or-treat. It's from 9:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. and we're giving away full-size candy bars. There's a grand prize. I'm have to look at the tweet to make sure I get everything right. We're giving out full-size candy bars, mugs, and more. And then for the grand prize, which is a raffle, the prizes are a Switch Nespresso coffee maker, one of those nice ones, you know, you can get like, ooh, super exciting, and AirPods. That's all. Sorry, that was a lot. Okay, bye.
Very good. Elliot, go ahead. He's got something.
My announcement is that announcement, but with a little addition to it. So that's all happening with the event with CAB this Friday. CAB reached out to me, Mackenzie Richer, the president, reached out to me and asked if I could ask SGA if anybody would like to help volunteer. They're wanting to have at least 2 people sit at each table around campus and hand out treats and also like non-treats, so like mugs and stuff. I heard anyways, I don't know all of the list. So is anybody interested in that? I don't know how many she needs, probably like 7, maybe like 5. I don't know if anybody's interested. Maggie, you did already. I heard about that. Is anybody else? If you are interested, you can message me.
Very good. Thank you. So Maggie, go ahead.
Okay, so Halloween is coming up, and for those of you that don't know, it's there's another holiday that some of our friends who are witches or pagans celebrate called Samhain. So RLC is making little like witch kits. So if you know anyone who is interested in that witch kit, please let an RLC intern know. We have 2 groups that we know we've got our RLC interns, and no one needs to tell us about Tatum. We know about Tatum.
Very good. Thank you.
I'm so excited. Sorry.
Corey, go ahead.
Mine is just a friendly reminder. It was going to be like, hey, go vote, but Tatum got that one covered. It's fine, baby. Also, my reminder that is very important. It's getting cold. I was said, hey, Autumn, we don't need you. So we're full-blown winter just about. It's flu season. And COVID is still like happening. So please remember just to be wearing your masks, social distancing, washing your hands with warm water and soap for 20 seconds. Just like keep using and keep remembering to do those safe cleanliness practices, because our noses are going to be sniffling, the flu is coming around, people are going to be getting sick, because I know a lot of us cannot, like our immune systems cannot handle the cold. So we're all going to be a lot more at risk. So please just continue to stay healthy, stay safe, and keep up the good work and be good examples, because we are the student leaders here on campus. If students see us doing everything that I just listed, they're gonna be like, oh, they're like in charge. Let's do what they're doing. So set a good example for campus. Thank you. That was my announcement.
Very good. Paskazi, go ahead.
All right, listen, I got a whole bunch of stuff. Casey, yes, the underground is on Friday. It's at 8 p.m. I'm pretty sure this one's face to face as well. Like it's not online in Pote Theater. So that's fun. Also, Counseling Services is doing like this election preparation event tomorrow. I have to look at what time it is. I don't remember. At 6:30. So if you are feeling anxious or scared or I guess any emotions, if you're excited about the election and you just want someone to talk to and learn some coping skills, this would be a great opportunity before the election. You know, so you have those coping skills ready if you get any emotions on election day. You've got those coping skills in your back pocket. So like utilize that. Also, plug BSU here. We're tabling this week and we're doing this new thing where we're highlighting Black-owned businesses. So this week we are handing out, instead of tea bags, they're coffee bags. So I don't drink coffee, but if you do, that'd be cool for you. So you should go get one. And also, we started a Discord book club for you to read anti-Black literature and more diverse literature and authors. So if you want to join that, that'd be cool. We also give out prizes if you read and participate in discussions. So there you go.
Thank you. Hadley, go ahead.
It's Halloween this weekend, guys. This is my reminder. Have fun. However, COVID is still a thing, as Corey pointed out. So have fun, but stay safe. Fun and safe.
Facts. Drake, go ahead. Jordan, go ahead.
Hey everyone. Happy early Dia de Muertes, Day of the Dead, for those that observe that. I'm definitely watching Coco on the 2nd, so as I'm gonna be enjoying that. Also, Black Lives Matter. And one last thing, I know for Halloween, some like CAs might be doing some special stuff. I don't know, but I've seen some stuff where some CAs might be doing some, fun things for Halloween. So I don't know about that, but the other CAs could comment on that, but I know some are doing it. But anyway, yeah.
Very good. Drake, go ahead.
Sorry, I was on mute last time, but this is
You're good.
important. Tell all of your friends Simpson will be providing transportation to the polls on Election Day. So this is set up to the Andrew Goodman Foundation, and social media posts will be going out later on this weekend, along with posters with a number. And this is all COVID safe. We will have like taking one person at a time in a van that will allow for 6 feet of social distance. But for anyone that does not have transportation, there will be a hotline that you can call, and you can go get a shuttle to the polls.
Very good. Thank you. Tatum and then Piscazzi.
One more thing, I'm sorry. My little witchy self needs to tell you about Saturday because it's actually really important. So 4 planets are going to be in alignment on Saturday, and it is a blood moon / a blue moon. This hasn't happened in about 40 decades. This is a really big thing. So if you believe in astrology, if you were like anywhere today, today just felt off. It was like a weird day. Nothing felt right. It was just a very odd day for absolutely everyone. And it's because 98% of people fall in the 12th house of the sun. And it's like a big deal with the planets. So I just wanted to give everyone a friendly reminder that like, if you believe in astrology, like planets are going to be absolutely insane this weekend. So please make sure to take time for yourself. If you meditate, please meditate. If you want a tarot reading, hit me up. I got you. But like keep aware of what's happening in like space because it actually has a really big effect on Earth. Sorry, that's your little witchy tip of the day. Okay.
Very good. Piscazzi, go ahead.
Also, if you don't know your polling place, there are only 2 polling places for people who live on Simpson's campus. The first is if you live in like, I think it's the like apartments and the sororities, you vote at the auditor's office that's still right across from Carver. If you vote, or if you live in like the frats or the 1st and 2nd year areas, you vote at like this weird Masonic building that's over by Sports Page. There's like posters all over school with like QR codes and like exact directions how to get there. But like, know your polling place and know that it's like if you're a first or second year if you're a first or second year student, you vote at a weird Masonic building that's down by Sports Page. And the address is weird. So if you get the address, it might try to take you to like a sketchy place because the address is real jank. So make sure you're just head on a swivel, like you on the lookout.
All right. Any other announcements from you guys?
Can I add to what Piscazzi just said real
Go ahead.
quick?
Yeah.
So if for that weird A-word polling place, if you get to Sports Page, you've gone too far. That's what Elise told me yesterday. So like for that polling place, like it's right by the fairway in the fairgrounds. But if you get to Sports Page, turn your booty around. Okay.
Very good. Thank you. Anything else from you guys? Alrighty. Item number 9.